allowed to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there won't be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on. Is there a motion to terminate Keith?
So, what happens next? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With rumors of an impending arrest swirling, it feels like we're witnessing the final act of this drama unfold in real time. Will Henyard finally be held accountable for her actions? Will her allies continue to turn against her in a desperate attempt to save themselves? And what will become of Doton, a village left in disarray after years of corruption and mismanagement? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. The next few days and weeks will be critical for Tiffany Henyard, her allies, and the town of Doton. You can bet everyone will be watching closely.
Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars in overtime.
Let's dive into what we know, or at least what the rumors suggest. Multiple sources are buzzing that the FBI has been quietly building a case against Tiffany Henyard and her team for some time now. Word on the street is they've been gathering evidence behind the scenes, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And that moment may be just around the corner. So, what exactly is Henyard up against? The list of accusations is long and troubling. She's been in the spotlight for months, if not years, facing claims of misusing taxpayer funds, extravagant spending, first-class travel, lavish parties, and more. The FBI is reportedly investigating her management of village finances and her spending habits.
Debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
But it's not just Tiffany Henyard who's in trouble. Her entire entourage is reportedly facing the fallout alongside her. The FBI has been closely monitoring their every move, waiting for the perfect moment to act. From what we're hearing, they're gearing up to make a significant impact by arresting Henyard and several of her closest allies simultaneously. Talk about a plot twist. Let's rewind a bit though. Henyard's troubles didn't emerge overnight. She's been walking a precarious line for years, and it all seems to be crashing down now. Just recently, she threw an extravagant $85,000 party that had the whole town buzzing, flying in R&B singer Cake Wyatt and rapper Jay Holiday for a performance that barely drew a crowd. That's exactly the kind.
Coming in, I mean, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, you have just some accountability.
This wasn't just a minor backyard barbecue. Henyard's team blew tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars on a mini concert that locals are calling a complete flop. Former Doton trustee Valeria Stubbs, who witnessed the fiasco firsthand, didn't hold back, stating, "That was a flop." And she's far from the only one expressing outrage over the situation. This wasn't just a minor backyard barbecue. Henyard's team blew tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars on a mini concert that locals are calling a complete flop. Former Doton trustee Valeria Stubbs, who witnessed the fiasco firsthand, didn't hold back, stating, "That was a flop." And she's far from the only one expressing outrage over the situation.
I think you should pay everybody. Is it the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You just got.
Residents are outraged, furious that their hard-earned money is being tossed around like confetti. Lansing resident Jennifer Robert put it best, "I was flabbergasted. I was pissed off. That's my money. That's the people's money." She's not wrong. Locals are watching their taxpayer dollars vanish while the village sinks deeper into debt. And speaking of debt, things have only worsened for Henyard. Trustees have been raising alarms about the town's financial state. According to a report from former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the village's general fund balance was over $5 million.
Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, or perhaps the missing million-dollar question. It's not just the extravagant parties and lavish travel that have raised eyebrows. Henyard's management of village employees and contracts has sparked even more controversy. Take Keith Freeman, for example. The village administrator and one of Henyard's top allies has been linked to all sorts of shady dealings. Freeman, who was charged with bankruptcy fraud earlier this year, has reportedly been working closely with Henyard to cover up her financial misdeeds. Well, that's the million-dollar question, or perhaps the missing million-dollar question. It's not just the extravagant parties and lavish travel that have raised eyebrows. Henyard's management of village employees and contracts has sparked even more controversy. Take Keith Freeman, for example. The village administrator and one of Henyard's top allies has been linked to all sorts of shady dealings. Freeman, who was charged with bankruptcy fraud earlier this year, has reportedly been working closely with Henyard to cover up her financial misdeeds.
One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Freeman has allegedly flipped. Sources say he's cooperating with the FBI, feeding them information in hopes of securing a lighter sentence. Could this be the final nail in Henyard's coffin? But that's not all. Deputy Police Chief Lysis Lacey, another loyal ally of Henyard, is also in deep trouble. Lacey was recently indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud, accused of collecting over $200,000 in overtime for which he wasn't even eligible. If that doesn't scream corruption, we don't know what does. Lacey's indictment is just a
Very appreciative to receive the information today. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 19.
With allegations of fraud, misuse of public funds, and corruption looming over her, Henyard could be facing serious jail time if convicted. Depending on the charges, she might be looking at anywhere from a few years to over a decade behind bars. With the weight of a federal investigation pressing down on her, it's difficult to envision a scenario where she emerges unscathed. And let's not forget about the people of Dothan. They're watching this all unfold with a mix of anger, frustration, and disbelief. How did things get this bad? How did someone like Henyard even get into office? Many residents have been asking those same questions for years.
Legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
One comment on a YouTube video discussing the situation sums up what many are thinking. When someone has a criminal conviction of any kind, they should never be allowed to run for public office. It's just nuts to me. Can you blame them? Another commenter added, "Do they not do background checks? That town is run like a circus." Ouch. But they're not wrong. It's baffling how someone with such a troubled past could rise to power without raising any red flags. Now, the entire village is paying the price. Despite the turmoil, Henyard doesn't seem to be backing down. She continues to act as if everything is normal, recently spotted at another village event, smiling for the cameras and touting her contributions to the community. In one of her infamous social media posts, she even referred to herself in the third person, claiming, "They don't show you this side of Tiffany Henyard, the productivity." But productivity isn't exactly how most would describe her tenure. Henyard's attempts to downplay the situation aren't fooling anyone. People see right through the charade and are growing increasingly fed up. Even some of her closest allies are starting to turn against her. One notable defection.
We get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing is being done.
It's not just her allies who are jumping ship. The village trustees are fighting tooth and nail to rein in Henyard's spending and bring accountability to local government. They've implemented layoffs, cut budgets, and are even crafting their own financial plan to get the village back on track. But it's an uphill battle, especially with Henyard still calling the shots and vetoing every attempt to investigate her actions. Even more alarming, insiders report that the trustees are facing alleged intimidation tactics from Henyard's allies within the police department. Several sources suggest she may be leveraging her connections with certain high-ranking officers to pressure those questioning her authority. This, combined with her unchecked spending and refusal to provide financial documents, has made it nearly impossible for the trustees to do their jobs effectively. It seems Henyard is determined to cling to power by any means necessary, no matter how reckless her actions become. The big question now is, how long can she hold out? Can Tiffany Henyard really keep fighting against the inevitable? Let's be real, the FBI doesn't mess around. They have the receipts, the witnesses, and the evidence. While Henyard may be trying to maintain appearances, it's only a matter of time before the walls start closing in.
Here, Henyard is in a situation where she feels like she's under attack, because she is.
So, what happens next? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With rumors of an impending arrest swirling, it feels like we're witnessing the final act of this drama unfold in real time. Will Henyard finally be held accountable for her actions? Will her allies continue to turn against her in a desperate attempt to save themselves? And what will become of Doden, a village left in disarray after years of corruption and mismanagement? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. The next few days and weeks will be critical for Tiffany Henyard, her allies, and the town of Doden. You can bet everyone will be watching closely to see what unfolds. So, what do you think? Is this the end of the road for Tiffany Henyard, or does she still have a few tricks up her sleeve? Will the FBI finally bring her to justice, or will she somehow manage to slip through the cracks again? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You won't want to miss what's coming next.